What up, what up? We're back, post-show episode 141. We got a good one for you. It's packed. It's jam-packed. We tried to get as much as we could in this week because I'm off to Japan for 3.5 weeks or so. There will be plenty of content, hopefully, while I'm gone. Grant talks about it towards the end of this episode, but we're thinking, he might do like a Twitch live stream to talk about spring anime. He might do a solo episode on the pod. He might have a guest. Who knows? But what you should do to keep tuned in, there's a word for this, and I'm not gonna edit out all this fumbling around I'm doing. Follow us on Instagram and on TikTok at Part-Time Otaku Podcast, and you can find the updates and what Grant is up to while I'm away. And also, I may share some relevant Japan stuff on the social media platforms while I'm gone that are relevant to anime and TV and all that fun stuff. As for this week's episode, we do the Severance Season 2 Finale. We talk about that at great length. We talk about our theories that were proven true and or not true. We talk about nitpicks and theories for Season 3 and just our general reception to it, which is very fun. We do the Solo Leveling Season 2 Finale. Let me kick my cat. We do the Solo Leveling Season 2 Finale. I'm still not re-recording this. And then also White Lotus Season 2 Episode 7, the penultimate before the season finale. There's some news sprinkled in and out throughout all of that. And then we briefly talk about The Studio, the new Apple TV series by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. And finally, we end on a very light note. We discuss briefly Adolescence on Netflix. I have not seen it. Grant kind of gives his thoughts. He hasn't finished it yet, though. It's a fun pod. I hope you enjoy it. And I appreciate all your wishes for safe travel. And I'll see you on the other side. Peace. Oh, hey there, Grant.
Hey, Dave.
What's up, buddy?
Just enjoying the bounty of spring.
The bounty of spring. It's tough because we had like a false start.
Yeah.
A week or two ago or whatever it was. But yeah, it's weird to this is my first spring in a house.
A lot of water.
A lot of water. It's freaking me out a little bit.
I know to think about it. We talked about it.
Hearing the sub pump go.
Yeah.
I forgot to turn off my heater. All right, you know what? This is staying in. That's another house tip, dude. I think you might have put me on that. Well, no, not a remote, a little space heater action.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
Did I
Keep
talk
them
about...
toesies warm.
Yeah, did I talk about, the saga of, I just continually kept blowing breakers down here because of the space heater?
No, you didn't.
Anyway, I just, didn't realize... Well, I didn't understand electricity, and to be clear, I still don't.
Sure.
But, you'll appreciate this. So, what I ended up learning or realizing or deducing through the just process of elimination and failure was most of the basement is off one breaker.
Yeah.
Which, it is what it is. It's you don't really run into that.
Major appliances have their own.
Yeah.
Most rooms have their own, yeah.
But what would get it to reach the threshold and trip the breaker? Not blow. I said blow the breaker.
In the basement?
In the basement. It was I had the space heater going, but just the space heater wasn't enough to get it to trip. Do you know what it was?
Air purifier?
No, it was gaming PC on.
Oh.
Wait, it's specific. We go further down the rabbit hole. Gaming PC on, gaming.
Sure.
Active use, heat, space heater going, Baldur's Gate 3 cinematic cutscene.
Yeah, dude.
The GPU, the load on the GPU. And as you know, in Baldur's Gate, you have to have a host. And I was the host every time. So I crashed everybody's game every single time that happened. And I kept being like, I really don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be some kind of pattern. This keeps happening while we're playing. I don't think how that could be related. I don't know how that could be related.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, dude?
Good old Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, but now I got it on another breaker. We're all right.
There you go.
Old school extension cord. You just daisy chain 8 or 9 of those things.
Yeah. No damage.
I can't
no
go
cause for harm whatsoever. Fuck.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate. We played a little Chained Together there yesterday.
Dude,
that was
a hoot. I was laying in bed shortly afterwards, and I was just kind of giggling to myself. That's the best $5 I've ever spent. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy fun.
We need to. We were saying this off mic. We need to I'm not saying we go like deep down the rabbit hole of like just Steam indie games, but like
Sure.
every now and then you are reminded of like where gaming is at and like the wins that exist out there. Like I've paid, for AAA prices that I had worse experience on compared to that. So Chained Together, that was fun. We're late to the game. Like people have been loving that for a while, but
Yeah.
I think we keep a save file going and just get to the top. And we'll see how long it takes to do that.
Ooh.
At our
Lower
cadence,
sessions.
it might be a while. And I'm
Whatever.
I'm okay with that. We're
We're
in
at
the
the top.
long
We're
game.
at the top. Yes, sir.
We're in the long game. All right.
All right, so here's the thing, right? We got a couple pretty big finales. It's which series you want to give the overall, love to first.
I think Severance season 2
Okay.
because I think there's more. We have to say farewell to it for now, and then we can roll into anime after we talk about that and maybe White Lotus. Is that cool with you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so obviously you watched it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the only spoiler warning we're going to give. We're already like a week and a half out on Severance season 2, but there's your spoiler warning. 75 minutes.
Was it really that long? It honestly felt like the fastest episode of the season.
Directed by Ben Stiller.
Killing it. Love to see that.
Fucking man, this guy, dude. I'm sure we've made this joke before, but can you imagine telling yourself, hold on. Can you not? We're doing the thing. I'm not editing that out.
Not enough time.
You guys have any idea how much work that is? But can you imagine telling yourself that like Zoolander was going to be directing like the premiere show on the world's most valuable company's streaming platform in a couple decades after that?
I was watching the finale and I just said to myself, "Orange mocha frappuccino." It's like, can you believe?
No, but
yeah. You liked it though. You're happy, like as a whole. You liked the finale season as a whole. You're pretty content.
I think I've got, and I had to think about it. But I think I've got a couple nitpicks or complaints. But like,
sure, I do too. Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. I watched that. Where I'm a sucker for endings. I think we both are. Like, I think above, and it's not like they've landed the plane and completed the series, but like, what I do think, and we're gonna get into this. Like, there's a good story in season 2 with what feels like a beginning, middle, and an end. All these love triangle themes we discussed. Some of our theories kind of came to fruition on that, but like, I felt like it like had a definitive story that it told, and it sets them up for some more stuff in season 3, and like the actual quality of the filmmaking was pretty fucking absurdly high.
I agree.
Like you know what I mean? Just a piece of an hour of television looking like that with that kind of pacing and budget and cinematography and just like overall quality is wild. It's wild that like they could put out something like that and they are guaranteed no critical acclaim, no Emmys. Just because like that's the bar just is rising so fast for television. Like we're gonna talk about some other premiere TV later. Like it's just fucking wild. Like anyway, so I really loved it and I like the ending. But what are your general thoughts?
I did like the finale. I felt it's funny. Like I see a recurring trend online of like security personnel is like a huge nitpick in season 2 and. Which is not for me. Like I'll say, like I think Lumen has kind of set the precedent for like hubris, right? Like they're they think they're foolproof and this and that. And again, like big giant, kind of fictional companies like that. Like it's a recurrent. I'm thinking E Corp, like that kind of thing. You think they're
suspending your sense of disbelief a little bit to allow the story to be told, right?
Yeah, but I did find it like oddly funny. I think my biggest nitpick is like just prior to the Mark S's throwdown with the Drummond. It's just like of course that room is just like right there access. Like there was a little bit of conveniences I found in the finale, but like not enough not to enjoy it. I will say like this is not a critique on season 2. I think this was just like an error on my part. I feel a little separated from season 2. Whereas, like, season 1, it was, like, on. We were catching it the night it aired. You know, we were like super invested. We caught it pretty early. I think we were only behind. I think we missed like the first 3 weeks, and then after that it was week to week.
Off to the races.
But this was like, you know, like missing the date and like falling asleep during an episode and like catching up 2 at a time. And it was like, I felt like, again, I feel very like away from it. And I felt like there's a lot of going back and researching. So it didn't feel as like, I didn't feel with it as much this season. Again, it's not a critique. I really like this season. But I feel like I'm not like as dialed in as I was previously, you know. So it's like a kind of like a 50-50 feeling about the whole experience, and I definitely feel like I kind of screwed myself on that. But I like it. Like I like the themes. Like they really hit home the themes of like, you know, like the, you know, the id and the ego and the self and the not, and you know, like just the stuff that they've been kind of like, they really breadcrumbed in season 1. Mm-hmm. It just was like in full show here, like the, you know, what they did, the whole thing, you know, because, you know, love triangles and relationships is a huge theme this season. I think probably like the biggest. Yeah. And, you know, the stuff with like Dylan and, you know, his Audie's wife and, you know, the Helly, Gemma and Mark and Irving and Bert, like just relationships was just, and so like realistic, you know, which is in a sci-fi show like this. And, you know, you mentioned like, you know, like, you know, the sense of disbelief and kind of like just turning your brain off. They don't really do that with these characters. Like they all feel real, and I don't know. I just it, for such a sci-fi show and a futuristic show, like it's so realized and human. You know, it's kind of it's a very hard balance, and I think that's its biggest props by the end of the season. Is, you know, with all the violence and the rage and the distrust, and like it just feels so natural and you know, real. I don't know. I really dug it.
Yeah, like to touch on something you just mentioned, like you see whiffs of this in season 1, but like one thing that I think is shown off more in season 2 is like, you're right, it's quite a heady show, right? Mm-hmm. It's quite sci-fi. I've had people say like, oh, it's a little too out there for me, and it's like, hey, fair enough. But the ironic part, or the interesting part, that is kind of subverts your expectations, is like once you wrap your head around the Severance part, which is not that hard, but once you do, like you're right, like it is very basic and straightforward and just about like human emotions and whatnot. Once you can, the like,
stuff that we do see every day,
like their problems are like very basic, grounded human problems, and you're like, well, yeah, of course that person feels this way, like, you know what I mean? And of course that might mean that they're going to be at odds with their outie and whatnot. So it's like they have like this complex plot device, but like all the drama is like pretty basic, kind of rom-com,
the human experience,
drama. Just like there's nothing that crazy about the drama, but it's more like the setting and the idea for the show is the complicated part. But once you like can swallow that, it's like it's just kind of a drama, you know what I mean? That just so happens to take place in like a sci-fi a sci-fi environment. Okay, so let's talk about some theory payoffs. This goes back to as early as season 1, and this isn't me, this is like just the community at large. Mark was refining his wife, right? Cobell comes out and says it. The numbers are your wife, you know, check. Cold Harbor was like a final test of some kind for Gemma, refined by Mark. Check.
And Dylan. I saw it.
Yeah, they were all working on it.
There's a couple files that they've shown Dylan to be working on.
Which is interesting. Like Dylan, like Dilly, I think, and Dylan and Helly, I think, worked on rooms that Gemma had gone into. Yeah. So like not just Mark, but perhaps maybe there's something to they never came out and say that they never came out and said this, but you know, Cold Harbor did grind to a halt in Mark's absence, right? And like it just didn't move without him around, and you know that was potentially the, you know, again, like the hyperbolic Lumen statement was like one of the most important days in humanity's history would be the completion of Cold Harbor, and it's like,
the other thing too is like I think you know, after having seen like the most like 2 or 3 episodes, Gemma was like targeted from like the very beginning, like the stuff with, you know, the fertility clinic and whatnot. I think, is it safe to say it was kind of happenstance that like Mark signed up for the Severance, or do you think they were also like kind of like working on him to get him in there?
You say like Severance,
like for him to sign up for the procedure, like they just kind of make it sound like one day he decided to do it because he was feeling so down and whatnot. Do you think it was a calculated measure on Lumen's part to get him in there? Or do you think they were actively working on her prior to him kind of going the procedure?
I still don't know.
That's like it doesn't matter.
No,
like,
those
it's probably
are great,
never get answered, but...
Well, they might. Those are great questions. Like, I think, like, a lot of the big questions that remain are, like clearly Lumen has orchestrated this, but it's, like, to what degree, right? Like, is it as simple as she checked a checkbox at the fertility clinic because they were so desperate at that point in their quest to have children? That, like, you know, it said, hey, and you can use my, my organs upon my death for, like, experimental research or whatever, which, like, people check that box every day for the driver's licenses.
Yeah.
You know, it's a private healthcare facility. Maybe there's, like, and then maybe she really did get in a car accident and they really did just harvest what was there. Or...
Yeah, I guess we still don't know that.
Or not, right? Like,
because they said, Mark, he saw a body, but it was burnt. So, like, we don't know. Yeah.
So then what the hell's up with that? Did she really die and they reconstructed her and just gave him like a...
I don't think so. I think she just kind of got maybe kidnapped.
Exactly. So did they stage it and just give him like a cadaver or like a dummy corpse or whatever? Mm-hmm. So I could go either way on that. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, him being so depressed that he gets severed is an interesting take. Like, did they... Yeah, I don't know. I would.
Was there subliminal messaging that they tried to hit him
hit him
with? Because the lengths they go to, like it's.
And because we've seen now, granted, Colbell is on the outs with them currently, but because we saw and we know how vital she is now in general to the severance procedure, having invented it, but also the lines she was willing to cross on the outside. You know, getting in with his family, becoming his neighbor.
Oh yeah.
Like, are there limits to what she may have done or they may have done if they felt he could help their progress? You know what I mean? Like,
I think season 3, like a dead ringer move is that Cobell was the one who staged her death. I bet you she played a huge part of that, and like I wouldn't be surprised if they showed that. Yeah.
I agree. And the last theory, just to put a bow on this, the last theory that to pay off is the love triangle one. But like, to be fair.
I know the goats sound pretty spot on.
Oh, the goat too. What I mean? Yeah. Okay.
Dude, yeah.
Okay.
Let's do the love triangle, then we'll get to the goats.
Oh, the goat thing is so fucking interesting, and I'm still very, very torn on it. But the love triangle thing, real quick. I don't know if you. There were a lot of people coming to this conclusion, and I want to say I would have came to it myself, but I saw it first online, and then I couldn't get the idea out of my head. But there is a pretty beautiful idea about Cold Harbor, and. You know, the idea, just for the listener to like paint this, give context and make it very clear, is, you know, Cold Harbor was to create an additional severance split for Gemma of like one of the deepest, darkest memories in her psyche, the crib, right? And what it would have represented to her like inner turmoil, and then just to wave it in front of her face and just see if her any blinks, right? Like, is there anything in there left? That might give her pause in disassembling this crib, right? It's like dangling this incredibly traumatic thing that happened to you. It happened to her literally just before she died too, right? So, you know, this is like very recent memory, and whatever. And it seems to pass, right? The barrier's holding, it's working. Mark shows in, he ruins a test. He in QA or software terms, he contaminates everything, right? She's a blank consciousness with no context. A man saying, I can get you out here, shows up. He ruins the test. But she doesn't seem to know who he is. No. And she was disassembling the crib. It was working until Mark ruined the test. The ironic part is then they go up and down some elevators and they're in and out of their Audis and she's in and out of her other severed consciousnesses. Yep. But eventually he gets her out and Audi Gemma wakes up. And she obviously recognizes her husband. But you can make the argument that Cold Harbor succeeded on any Mark because on the other side of the door is a woman he knows is his wife on the outside. But he feels nothing. He might feel bad, but he's got Helly behind him. This person who is very relevant to his existence. And he makes a very clear choice.
Well, I think the other big thing, too, in the beginning of the episode, and genuinely the highlight of the episode, is the argument between, Marcus and
Masterclass in editing.
That was the usage of color and,
Yeah.
and and space, and like the way they would close up, specifically on like a heated part of the conversation, like it really, just like a subtle in, but like that was all. It was like he was like going in with like a loaded handgun with the safety off. Like after that conversation, that was the worst thing that again the conversation was going to happen because they had to coax Marquez back in and whatnot. But holy cow, dude! Like it was. And like everyone knows it. It's not like it was like the easiest scope in the world. But I knew the second she was referred to as Helene.
Yeah.
Audi Mark, I was like, oh, this is about to go south immediately. And I think that's what we were all kind of not hoping for, but expecting to see, the two of them kind of go at it that way. And it was a total set off. And it was like the trap went off too early, and Marquez caught it. And man, but but then the ending and like the back and forth and the deciding I really loved the struggle that Marcus had making the choice, because you could feel there is a conscience that like he knows, like, yes, they're like, again, like, but Hallie's here, and it's, dude, just so many layers.
It's just that woman,
gut wrenching.
It's not Mark S's wife, like, and to your point, and why would he? But he does not trust Audi Mark.
No,
if he leaves, it's not just leaving Helly and choosing Gemma, who he doesn't really feel anything for at this moment. It's also leaving and knowing I may never wake up again. Because if he does leave and he doesn't believe in reintegration that will actually work, like, then he's just shutting himself off and he never sees Helly.
And we still don't even know, like, is reintegration, like, is that a killing of both selves and it's like a new higher being and like an entity,
Well,
like, or is it?
Well, here's two things. So one, you mentioned the Innie talk, which had to happen, and they did really well.
Yeah.
And they did ask the question that you just did. And Mark goes, well, how does it work? Like, you have 1,000 times my lived experience, so are you going to be 99% of the consciousness and I'm 1? Do I get the bottom and you get the top? How does it work? And then Audi Mark's like, well, I don't think that's how it works. And he goes, okay, so how does it work? And it's like, I don't fucking know.
Go ask your coked out scientist neighbor.
Yeah, we've tried it once and we killed the guy.
Yeah.
So there's all that. And it's also like, this is also my first nitpick is like, it kind of feels like we got pump faked with reintegration like twice in this series.
A little bit, eh?
Because they do it in episode 2, I think. Or is it episode 1? No, in season 2, it's either episode 1 or episode 2, very early. Mark says yes and undergoes reintegration. And you start see him snapping back and forth. And then it keeps happening. And then, they go away for it for plot reasons. And then he goes, Rogby floods the chip for him, and it seems to be working more. But like, it was kind of sold as like hey, we kind of flick the button and then it's like, we're good. And it's like, okay, well, now it appears to be much more of a process that takes a lot of finagling. And we also know nothing about Rogby. She appears to be just like a plot device for reintegration, which is another complaint. But like, yeah, I don't know. I was really excited early at season 2 when we were like, okay, Mark's doing reintegration, like, let's fucking go. And as it turns out, it's like, this is going to be like a multi-season plot line of him, like, which is fine, but it's probably
going to be the forefront of season 3 would be,
I just felt like it was sold as like, yo, we're flipping the button, like, let's do it. And it was like, oh, okay, so not really. We flipped the button and then we went through 8 or 9 episodes of like, it's sort of happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what is like the end game though? Like, is just Marquez never going to leave the facility? Like, is a coup going to be staged and they're going to start, their own society down there? Like, mole people?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, right? Like, I think the only way out is to smash the consciousnesses together. But like, that you are then presented with the problem of who gets what and like,
who has control at any
given time.
Yeah,
like does it just, is it a net new consciousness? Like, does the Audi just absorb the small amount of lived experience that the Innie has? Is there a happy ending there? Like,
I highly doubt Severance is going to have a happy ending.
Yeah, it doesn't.
2 cents.
Yeah, it feels a little tough. I don't know. You mentioned Petey, and it reminded me of a little Easter egg that I found of, early season 1. They're talking about like Petey because he went through the reintegration and that went well, and. But he said, we could be killing people down there for all we know. And the ironic, kind of hilarious part is the first time, because Petey's referring to we could be killing people down there as he's mentioning the secret floor. where Gemma's being kept.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's going on. They could be killing people down there. And the first time Audi Mark gets down there, he accidentally kills somebody.
That was crazy.
That was the best Severance transition they've done. With the finger on the trigger, no gun discipline, no trigger discipline. Yeah. And he fucking kills Drummond.
Yeah, what does Mark S know of a gun? You know, the concept. You know, like just the...
Probably fair to say that Audi Mark wouldn't have known much more.
No, I know, yeah. Yeah,
but that was such a good scene.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the goats?
Yeah.
Okay.
No Rickon all episode.
He's not a goat.
He's not a goat.
I saw that. I saw the actor doing an interview being like, people on the internet are convinced I'm goats, and I'm a goat, and I'm like,
but,
are you saying this to throw it? Sometimes when they acknowledge it in the press, you're like, okay, so it's a dead theory.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but
well, no, okay, because what's the purpose? Was the purpose of the goat sacrifice? It was not necessarily just to like have, oh yeah, we need to do this just in case. This wasn't some weird pagan thing. They were trying to store a consciousness.
This is what I don't understand. So I agree. Like,
yeah,
especially at least in the edit, right? Like, if you have to, and again, like they can use the edit to fuck with you, to intentionally throw you off the scent, and maybe they're doing that. But like the way they're doing it is like Cold Harbor's done. Okay, Gemma, put on the coat, get in the room. Hey, you go get the goat, bring it in. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing all the things. It looks like, and, you know, the head Egan guy is watching with bated breath. It's like, what the fuck are they about to do? And, like, in my head...
They needed to put Gemma's consciousness somewhere. To swap it. That's my...
So, I thought, too, I was like, okay, they're going to take Gemma, throw it in the goat, and then get the OG Kier Egan and throw him into Gemma. I don't know.
That was, I think that's what the plan was. Personally, I think that's what the plan was.
And, you know, they're saying, you know, Drummond's talking to Brienne of Tarth, being like, is this, you know, basically the best goat on the market? And he kind of says, like, we're going to imbue, I wish I had the quote, but it sounded like the goat was going to be a vessel, right? Just the dialogue sounded like that. But the part that really fucks me up is was that just a bullet that came out of the wall? It kind of looks like a bullet. Is it a bullet with a fucking, a chip in it? But, you know what I mean? Like, because why do all that and put the goat in this fancy machine just to blow its brains out? Unless it is just pagan sacrifice shit.
Could be. I don't know. Because
I don't think they showed us enough evidence.
The scene to look at is Drummond's death. Is the trigger pull to see if... Because I don't think it was a bullet. It almost looks like a cattle prod, like from...
yeah, it just got him in an artery, you know.
So maybe it was just a chip. Right?
Yeah.
You know, like you said. So I don't know. I mean, that's worth a look back, actually.
Yeah. But it's a chip that loads into a gun. You know what I mean? So it's like, what the fuck? Yeah, I don't know. What?
Sci-fi, dude.
Because it's also hard to say, like, what is so relevant. Like, I understand. Maybe again, like we've talked about, like what's the net goal of like Cold Harbor, and it's like, do they productize it and sell it as a way to help people disassociate with any and all negative experiences? Like maybe maybe it's just about consumer product offerings, and it is just like a capitalism thing. Like just we want to sell this. We put in one chip, and we can program it for you. You don't go to the dentist anymore. If you're about to die, your any experience is that. Just bullshit. Like, or we could say, oh, it's custom tailored to your needs. Like for Gemma, it was all shit she hated, right? The dentist signing thank you notes. Maybe it activates based on like these specific issues.
It's drawn out.
Yeah. Or it's like that. It's the deep Kier lore conspiracy of like the data, the refining they're doing is somehow a way to like import his consciousness into something. I'm still not 100% sure on that.
Other than like the nitpick, that you've mentioned already, is there anything you kind of felt like you wish had kind of got not wrapped up, but kind of just a little more time spent with? Like for me, I think not that it wasn't like a nothing burger, but they've been really like inclining Milchick and getting to his kind of. It felt like they were like leaning into a crisis of faith at some point.
For a second there, yeah. I think he's wavering.
For sure. So maybe they're kind of just like setting that up for like the following season.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of like, like we got an episode of him slamming into a bathroom door. You know, like it was just, it felt like a little more time would have been nice, and a little, again, like it was a jam packed, and it did not feel like 75 minutes, but you would think there'd be just a little more of that. But
no, I don't. So.
And even Dylan too. Dylan was kind of just felt like was forced back in and
bit of an afterthought for Dylan. I'll give you that for sure.
Milchek,
Milchek, I don't disagree, but I also think they, and we could talk about this in a second, but they flipped Cobell already. If she's actually flipped,
I don't think she is, but
flipping Milchek too easily. Maybe he had a really rough year, a really rough season.
Yeah,
maybe a couple more pushes. And he flips. I don't know. And maybe if it would have felt too easy or convenient to have him flip in this particular moment.
I'm not to say necessarily flip him, but a
little more than what
I would like to see a taste of the breaking point. You know, we saw frustration, but
he's
that was
getting close.
Yeah.
So, but I don't disagree. Maybe there could have been more of that. I think what I was gonna say, so you had critique about Cobell's performance. Patricia Arquette's performance as Cobell. I see where you're coming from. Yeah. It doesn't bother me as much as it does you, but I really actually liked the Cobell episode that brings you back to her hometown and all that. But I still feel her motivations are a little unclear. I still feel a lot of the time our central characters, Helly, Mark, Dylan, it's Milchek to an extent. You can kind of hear their inner monologue at times, what drives these characters. Milchek I kind of believe just wants to do an incredible job. He's drunk the Kool-Aid so hard, and now it's getting a little rocky, and we'll see that I understand his point of view. I understand Helena's point of view. I understand Heliar's point of view. I don't understand Cobell's point of view.
No.
I understand her backstory a little bit better. I understand that she's been fucked around by Lumen.
Yeah.
And that she'd be pissed.
Yeah.
But to what end?
She feels like a storm in a bottle. She feels lashing out. That's kind of her getting back at somehow. As we kind of know the mechanics of why.
Yeah.
But to what extent, and what does she really want? What pain does she want to inflict, or what does she want to reclaim back? So
what's her end game? Why help Mark? To do what? Because
nothing good. Nothing good. I think it's
exactly why.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I don't know. I would love
a lot of conveniences with her and with Ragavi, whatever.
Ragavi, yeah. I don't know, because they clearly know each other, and that was the Ragavi was no, if you call her, we are out. That woman is the devil. So which I believe, and she is. But Severance.
Fuck, man.
They say it's going to be sooner than 3 years. We'll see.
I mean, I've been seeing some early promo for House of the Dragon season 3, and I'm more annoyed than anything. I'm you're only starting now? They're only starting production now.
What's that for House of the Dragon?
Yeah, and it's
because they got that Dunk and Egg show coming on. They're gonna
I know, but it's
alternate
just
back and forth.
Holy shit! It's just crazy that things are. I don't know. The cycles are killing me here. Anyway, we could do time on that, but we won't. Do you want to go back and forth with this in anime? Do you want to get right into White Lotus?
Can we talk solo leveling?
Yeah, because that's the other.
I'd love to.
The other big finale that we saw. So we haven't talked in a couple weeks, but it's basically the last 2 episodes of season 2. So there's your spoiler warning. Yeah. Solo leveling season 2 just wrapped up.
At least we didn't do it 45 minutes after the premiere, Crunchyroll did. Yeah,
that's a weird thing.
Dude, I cannot stand that.
Yeah, for the listeners' reference, Crunchyroll has done this in the past for promo reasons, which make total sense to me, where they take an important moment from a series and put it on Crunchyroll, and it's hey, you can watch all this on Crunchyroll. With solo leveling, they, without exaggeration, they wait about 45 minutes after the episode airs in real time on streaming and simulcast, and then they post the most climactic moment of that episode on YouTube with a spoiler in the title and a spoiler in the thumbnail. In this one, Jinwoo versus Biru the Ant King or whatever. I don't know. That's shitty and weird, but whatever.
I guess stay off social media is the lesson there, but it's
it is.
Come on,
Okay, what'd you think of the fight and the ending?
Honestly, I was a little nervous in the fight because it was just like this very weirdly animated of like, I punch you, you punch me, and I was like, what the fuck are they doing right now?
Weird tone change.
Weird. And it was comical, and it was I don't know if it was calculated, but it felt like when it kicked, like when the fight really started, and you could just feel like the temperature drop, and it was a tonal change, complete change. I was like, oh, like they must have been having a goof with us.
Yeah,
like it was. I was just kind of like, you guys are really gonna do this, right? Like that's.
I was nervous though for a second because they ate up time doing that. They ate up like a couple minutes of screen time, and
it's about a 10-minute fight, and about 2.5-3 minutes is them kind of just like
boxing.
Yeah, very slow mo. Like I slug you, you slug me. Yeah, it looked like a rigged fight. It was
standing
very,
in trade.
Very strange.
Very weird. I'd be curious to know if the manhwa does the same thing. I've heard that in the manhwa, Jinwoo just rolls over him much more easily.
Oh, okay.
But like, I wonder if there's a boxing intro to the
That would
fight.
be interesting. I'll talk to Joe. He's read it, so I'll be curious to see what he says.
Be curious to hear that. But I do agree. Like maybe they were doing that as like foreplay to be like, okay, so when it really kicks off, like you'll feel it. Yeah. If so, I think
I think that was what happened. But dude, like it was great. I was, like there's not like a whole lot to talk about, like episode 12, other than the fact that like it looked awesome. It was a cool fight. It was beautiful, and just because like the last time we saw him like really fight was against the Demon King at the top of the tower, right?
Yeah.
And there was like a trepidation of like, oh, like he's kind of getting clowned here a little bit, like not clown. Like he had to put in a fight. And you
could argue the girl helped him last second, and it gave him the uppercut from hell. Like he may not have had that opportunity if not for her.
So there is some interesting of like, did he just get that much experience from like beating him and then going into this, or was like, Biru is not in the same class as what the Demon King was. So that was all interesting, but the ending of the episode leading into episode 13 of like what's he going to do to save Hunter Cha. I wanted to talk to you this because I'm not sure, because I think back to in season 1 where there's when he throws down with the B rank association guy who tries to kill them. Yep. The assassin type guy. Yeah. And there's like I think there is a monologue of like, oh, like this could be me if like I learned to love killing kind of thing. And,
sure.
They kind of show what the other side of him could be. Yeah. And it's always like kind of been like, oh, like when is he going to turn? Like when is this like the power going to overwhelm him? And they did a really good job of in this episode. Again, I could be completely off base, but I still don't know if he was lying. Did he hear the voice of the healer guy to resurrect him? Was that just like a convenience to kind of calm his friends? The whole, did he actually release him to never use him again? Like we don't, you know what I mean? I thought that was like a really cool line. But then like the healer guy comes up and he's smiling and he's like, yeah, like I'm your friend again. Like let me give you one last wave. But I don't know. Did all that work for you or like?
So it did work for me. I was like happy to see it. I don't know. Did we talk between now and then about like what our theories were?
I don't think
because
so.
there was a week break, right, between what's he gonna do with Hunter.
Oh yeah.
And the leading theory I had, and I can't remember if we had a pod on it or not, was like, oh, he's gonna arise her, like if it's the only way.
Yeah.
And that'll be a step further down like the darker path. Yeah. Doesn't do that completely. Makes total sense. Just res the healer, get the healer to fix it. Mm-hmm. I agree with you though. So I didn't in the moment think, oh, this is a play by him to like trick them. I was like, oh, so like we're showing that he's still very human and that like he is choosing like the humane play here of bring him back but then release him, and it's like a happy ending because he doesn't even have to order him to do it. He just does it and then he smiles and then he's released and it's like everybody wins. Mm-hmm. I will grant you, if it is a play and like he has tricked everybody and we learn later that like he busts out the healer in a moment of need because he's still got him, that would be pretty dope. Because again, I think we are still and I've seen no series ending spoiler related stuff to confirm anything.
At this point I'm good. I'm back with the show.
But I think they've at least breadcrumbed us a little bit on like he may be the bad guy in the end, or something may happen.
Yeah, or even if that's a bait and switch too.
Yeah, it could be, right?
Yeah.
My current thought is that was not a play, and that was real.
No, I do too, but it's funny where it feels very much like the one thing, but all the evidence is kind of there for it to, because he has hidden this from people for so long. He's still like, even like turn off the camera. Like, it's easy to keep this group contained versus like the whole world knowing and whatnot. But you can tell the mage guy does not trust him. There's a moment on the helicopter when Jinwoo kind of swings back in on the dragon, kills the ants. And the fire guy kind of gives like a look of like, oh, like he's back, he saved us again, and it's so there's some distrust there. Him wanting to start a guild, that was cool, interesting.
It's funny though, right? Like that to me feels like a power play, like perhaps good intentioned.
I think that's him getting access to high ranking and continuing to level up.
Yeah,
or farming, as everyone is saying.
At his discretion, right? Like I think one of the things that if you're him is you may not want to report to anyone. That's probably why free agency is so attractive to him, because he doesn't really want he doesn't want people to know the extent of what he can do, right? And so solve all his problems by finding or founding your own guild. Also, we have to mention like there's a couple teasers for the next arc, right? Like he goes back and like cleans up the eggs. He hits level 100. Did you catch this flash of an item he got at level 100?
No, I didn't catch that.
It's like a full screen flash. It's a blink and you'll miss it thing.
Okay.
But he gets level 100 reward to the Cartnan Temple. It's a key to the temple, which I think is the OG double dungeon where he died and the system revived him, like in the pilot. So that makes me think like, is season 3 him going back? That could be quite fun. Which also makes me hopeful that like maybe we're going to get close to like some of the story around the system, which is the big one, right? Like I really enjoy all the arcs as they're playing out, but they did a really good job of pacing this season with like he's trying to get demons and magic beasts to talk to him about it, and they keep getting edited live. That's interesting. That's clearly the system interfering.
Yeah.
Another thing, and this is also related to teaser stuff, is that towards the very end, we see 2 magic beasts looking like people come out of they appear where the ants all were. This is after Jinwoo has left. And they're looking around, and I don't have any quotes here, but like they're talking about like, why would he... I think we're meant to assume they're talking about Jinwoo. Like, why would he help them? And... It made me have a theory because of, they also say,
with the ice elf too, because he was like, why are you working with humans? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they also say, the stench, like, it would really bother her.
Yeah.
I think you're meant to infer they're referring to Hunter Cha.
Or someone else of similar ilk, yeah.
And maybe because it's the stench of hunters, S-rank hunters were everywhere there. So, like, between the ice guy hint and, like, that dialogue, I was like, maybe the system has changed something in him that makes him identify more closely with wherever all these magic beasts come from, right? And that's why maybe they've literally changed like his programming, and the human him is dead, and he's now an agent of the system in one way or another.
Yeah.
Like, what if the system eventually gives him a kill all hunters order or die?
That is true. Yeah. That is true.
Right? Like, it has forced his hand in the
I just count as, like, he has, like, the same IP address as, like, everything associated with the system now. Like,
he's like
if we're looking at it, like, on a tech, like, they're... So now your theory is Hunter Cha was dropped as a freaking Manchurian candidate and wait for sleeper code. So we got the stuff with his dad, these 2 new hunter beasts. They teed up someone who might be on the same level as Jinwoo, working for a different country. Yeah. Because I
don't know if there's a name.
They cut to... It's clearly not Japan, because, like, they'd know about him.
Yeah.
So maybe it's, like, one of the other adjacent, Asian countries. So that was cool. His dad, I'm very curious about what's going on with
his dad was mucking around in there.
And they knew he was there, too, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
You know, they make a read of like, oh, should we act on it? He's like, no, like he's here, like we're good, like
Yeah.
let's beat it. But dude, that, like,
oh, when he enters a B gate, that immediately turns red.
Yeah.
And then you get like an aura farming moment of like
cut back to the season 1
'Cause
OP,
he-
which was tight.
pretty dope. And
Yeah.
he got Biru as a summon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and talks to him, general rank.
And he can talk.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder, like, if Igris is eventually going to speak, or they can upgrade to a general rank.
That'd be nice.
Or yeah. But yeah, Biru kind of like going in and like clearing everything out, and he's like, if that's your wish, there flies in, killing all the ants. But yeah, dude, like every week, just so like anticipated beyond belief. It's like, when is Saturday going to get here? Like it's, and again, like it's we talk about this, like it's a total, like a primate, like it's just like a like a Smash show, like it's just like
if they can keep half
full bong,
this,
it's incredible.
If they can keep if they can keep this pace to series completion, they're going to be like all time.
I did see. It's not spoilers in any regard.
And sorry, I should mention, when I refer to pace, I mean like pace of release and also animation quality.
Oh yeah. They definitely got to keep that. I think this season was quite a huge upgrade from season 1. Like consistently across the board, it looked amazing. When they, multiple, I think, moments in each episode where it was dialed up. Very action heavy in every episode, which was nice. I think the consensus is, if they don't try and like movie it like Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, or all this stuff, which at this point it's probably a good chance they will. Because this show is hot.
A lot of hype.
We're probably looking at max 5 seasons.
I dig that, man.
Yeah, I like that.
Max would be 4, 5 would be great.
Yeah, so
I love that this comes from source material that is 1 done, 2 people love it. Yeah. Love that. All right.
But yeah, good season.
Hell yeah, dude. What do you want to do next?
Can I just drop 2 little anime news?
Yeah, hit me up, dude.
The Chainsaw Man ReZark movie is coming out in Canada, or North America, 1 month after release in Japan. So it's coming out in October 25th, I believe.
Yeah.
So we'll get that this year, soon, which is nice. People seem to be excited. The animation style has changed a bit.
And you've read this arc.
Oh, yeah. I like it. It makes sense. Like moments ago, we were just kind of like, gasping at the fact that, anime movies are taking over seasons. And which I don't hate, but like when they're dragging us along, it's annoying. Yeah. But this is a small arc, and it makes sense for a blockbuster big budget movie like that. Like right. I think this fits the criteria. What they're doing with Demon Slayer,
I was gonna say
very much a different thing.
The Mugen Train thing. People at that time did agree. They were like, okay, that arc probably makes sense as a movie.
Yeah,
you feel the same way about this Chainsaw Man.
100%. Yeah.
The only thing is, like Demon Slayer, we'll have to see which one gets the shorter end of the stick or the longer break. The one thing it fucked up was the pace, right?
Yeah.
It the release schedule specifically, it messes up, right? Because it takes long to make the movie, roll it out, wait, take a break, do the next season. Like, how long ago was Chainsaw Man season 1?
2022.
Yeah, we're mid 2025.
Yeah, it'll be coming out in the fall. Yeah, so it'll be almost 3 years.
That's tough.
The premiere. Yeah,
that's tough. Yeah. What was the other piece of news?
Sydney Sweeney is being eyed to star in the Mobile Suit Gundam movie by Legendary Pictures.
That's interesting. So I saw that.
Very interesting. Also, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about. I had made a joke about the woman that everyone's girlfriends hates. I was talking about Sydney Sweeney. I couldn't remember the girl's name. I said the blonde one.
Oh.
And yeah. It hit like days after it hit me. I was like, oh, but
that's all right.
Anyway, so this callback.
If we're doing okay, well, no, I want to talk about the Sydney Sweeney thing just briefly because, I like Gundam wise. I think I told you. I sent it to you. This is all, I don't know if this is rumored or confirmed, but there was like, the next Gundam anime series is gonna be written in collaboration with the creator of Neon Genesis.
Yeah, it's on my my preview list for spring.
Okay, so that's legit. That's coming out that soon?
2 weeks, dude.
Oh, then I'm officially gonna watch.
Yeah, a Gundam series. Yes, dude.
So that's exciting. That's awesome news. And but the Sydney Sweeney thing, it's funny. Sam and I were talking the other day, and she's like, "Hey, do you see those pictures of her for this boxing biopic she's doing? I think it's boxing." And it's like, one of those body transformation movies. She like really bulked up for the role. And I was like, yeah, it's interesting because she's the current hot thing, like literally, and you know that there's always an actor or actress kind of in the space, occupying the space that she's in right now. But like the next career move is like you now have to do something critically acclaimed.
Yeah, big anime.
I mean, you don't have to.
Yeah,
no, I'm talking about the boxing biopic.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you transform your whole body and you tell this intense character story, and it's very Oscar bait, as we know. But I was going to say, like, I think that boxing movie is really going to define what kind of a career that she helps have. Otherwise, you just make more... Sorry, you can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
You just make more of what you have been doing, which is fine, but it's like, you know, the Shyamalama Ding Dong there, like, you know, he did a couple... Well, it's not really fair. It's not a good comparison because he's
I love that I made that stick, dude.
No, but he's been in movies. I think he got Oscar nominated for like one of his first breakup.
He was the youngest. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a good example, but a better example would be like, you know, you have, you know, actors that have a movie, blockbuster, big character piece, and now they're just like
I know it's not a good comparison, but like in like Jennifer Lawrence, I think was in kind of her spot for a long time. Like
that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Blockbuster
casted and everything,
franchise city with Hunger Games, and then Silver Linings Playbook wins an Oscar, and now she gets to do whatever the fuck she wants going forward.
It's almost like kind of reverse because she's coming out like out of the TV world, you know, like the
Sydney Sweeney, the Euphoria thing.
Euphoria, and then the first season of White Lotus, and then you know, like she's getting all these like these rom-com stuff, but like she's also like, you know, she did the horror movie, she did the Scream Queen thing, which is like, that's how you know she's like playing for keeps there. Like, you know, the you know, she gets that. She produces all her own stuff. You know, she's very involved. So like, I don't know, like I enjoy her. Like Leanne and I watched on Halloween Immaculate.
Yes, Sam was telling me about this.
Pretty good, like, and she's very heavily involved. Was involved with like, you know, I don't know if the script per se, but like she produced it. You know, I think she got points. Like it was really good. We really enjoyed it.
A lot of really intelligent actors in general seem to be. I mean, I don't know how long this has been going on. It's just something I've been waking up to over the last couple of years. Is big actors seeing the opportunities in Hollywood production wise and being like, I should start a fucking production company and get involved.
Let's make our own stuff,
and she I think she EP'd or got that movie she did with Glenn Powell. Like, I think she helped make that film. Like, it wouldn't have been made, period, without her involved. So starring, EPing, all that stuff. Anyway, so interesting. There's your Sydney Sweeney moves. News for the week.
But a Gundam movie.
Yes,
so
and all
curious.
All
so
that
curious.
To say, anytime you attach a big name to a piece of IP, nerdy IP, is good. You know, like think about Dune and how big Dune has been, and think about if it didn't have the absurd fucking cast that it did. Like, Grant, you still would have been Denis Villeneuve, and we still would have saw it. But I promise you, it doesn't do half as well if it does.
Josh Brolin's in there. Zendaya's in there.
Every other character happens to be able to carry their own movie. Like,
pretty wild. That's an all-star cast.
Yeah. Oh, dude, just last piece of or a quick one is Free Run Season 2 confirmed for January 2026.
Fuck yeah.
Love that. I have the Snow White PR disaster in here.
Dude.
I don't know if we should even talk about that one. No, it's just a fucking mess, and it's kind of funny.
No, I know. It just feels like everyone involved is like kind of an asshole. Like,
everyone
you know
sucks
what I mean?
Here.
Yeah.
I think the funny thing is, like, yes, it underperformed, right? Nobody's questioning that. But the ironic part is, like, Lion King Mufasa also really underperformed in its first couple weekends. But, like, after, you know, international markets kept rolling, like, that's a profitable movie now. It's fine. Like, it, you know, no one likes the movie, but like it made its money back and is profitable. And I think it's possible that could have happened.
Sure.
Or may still happen with Snow White. But I'll tell you what doesn't help is the Star talking immense shit about the original story that is, you know, for perhaps flawed, but very much of the time that it came from. And then Disney getting so fucking pissed that they have to yank her away from the mic.
Can I give you a fun little anecdote? Which is how I know this is either its own marketing machine or what have you, or, you know, the disinformation, this and that. Yeah. Working and adjacent to a lot of men in their late 40s and 50s. Yeah. In a blue collar industry.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they love the new stuff.
No, it's so funny because like you never hear about this kind of thing from in my experience, in my career, I don't hear much about this kind of thing. But like, it's made. Like, it's the topic. Like, you know, I come into the yard the one day and the boys are talking about, hey, hear what happened to Snow White? And they told the actors to shut up. It's like, why are we talking about this right now? You know, it's so, it just goes to show, like, how something like this will catch and kind of go. And it pops up in places. You're like,
yep.
Man, can you imagine if, like, the movie just, like, did well and, like, no one would be talking about it?
Yeah.
You know, it's just like a, you know, the scales back and forth. I found it so interesting. It was just, I, like, turned on a dime at work the other day. I was kind of like, what do you know about Snow White? No,
yeah, it's funny. You don't expect. It's weird what ends up as water cooler. Conversation and what doesn't. Did I have one more thing? No, I got, so I sent it to you on Instagram, and then I was so mad. I didn't realize it was April Fool's today. I got so bad, dude, about Nolan and Tarantino co-directing his last movie.
Wow, dude.
They got me.
As if you even, like, in what world? You know what I mean?
I'm such an idiot.
I'm proud of you for admitting that on camera.
I'm so stupid. Dude, I'm looking at all the details because I had it in my notes to talk about.
Yeah.
And then I started reading it. And it's called Echoes of Violence. It's Tarantino's final film. Interesting, he'd co-direct on his final film. 1970s LA setting, detective trapped in a time loop. Leads approached are DiCaprio and Christian Bale, with supporting as JGL, Margot Robbie, Christoph Waltz. Scored by Hans Zimmer and Ludwig Göransson.
Dude.
Late 2026 release.
Who posted that one?
A film, like to be fair, a film fucking page I get a lot of news from, but it's April Fool's. They fucking got me, dude. And
I got one today. A band had to change the name after like a 2-year-long battle of litigation over the name, over like, you know, IP, and I was just like, oh, that's kind of sucks and weird. And then the same thing, I was like, oh, it's April Fool's today. But do you remember? Oh my god, I'll never forget this. World of Warcraft, around Burning Crusade era.
Yeah. I didn't know you were gonna say. It's funny.
Every year they always do like the April Fool's thing, and it was like the first time I had known or got, but they had said wisps from the Night Elves were going to be like the new playable
race. The people were fucking livid.
Yeah, I was like, that's so funny.
Dorks, man.
I remember like before Miss Pandaria, one year they had said there was going to be pandas as playable characters.
Oh yeah.
And it was like kind of like a troll because like Pandaria was coming out soon.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't love that expansion.
It's the only one of the only ones I didn't play.
Yeah. All right. White Lotus.
Yeah.
I mix that up in my head, not in my head. Speaking all the time. I say to Sam, "Hey, we watching Light Lotus?"
Light Lotus.
I don't know why. Okay, so I think it was a full hour episode.
Yeah.
I expected, to be honest,
not very exciting.
I expected a little more for penultimate.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll have to see how much of the shit really hits the fan in the finale. I mean, I think they've really got it primed to hit the fan. They've, I think, shaken the pressure cooker as much as possible at this point. Like, we need payoff at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, maybe this is just a testament to how effective Sam Rockwell's monologue was a couple episodes back. I was like actually saddened when he started drinking. Like, I was like, oh no, man! Like, what are you doing? For a character with remarkably little screen time.
I think not like this is like an archetype, but I think this is a self-inflicting person, like on a serial basis.
I know, but
I think that him being sober speech was like, I'm on the edge and like I'm telling you this because I'm looking for an excuse to break it. That to me, that was kind of the vibe a little bit.
Maybe, but one thing's for sure, like.
Unprepared, the two of them. Incredibly underprepared for, like... That's what I'm going to show. These guys are not career criminals. These guys are idiots.
Hey, you're right. You might be right about that. But what I was going to say was... One thing to me is for sure. He's not relapsing if not for Rick. Not at that moment.
No.
Like, Rick put him in that position.
100%.
And that happened because of Rick. And, it escalates. The whole episode happens. Mm-hmm. And by the end, they're in a hotel room with a bunch of prostitutes. Mm-hmm. And the guy's just... Who knows where that's going to go, but it sounds like he's headed towards where he was. Mm-hmm. And Rick's sitting there kind of like with a smile. I'm presuming because he's happy.
His closure, yeah.
He feels he has closure, and that's great, but it's like, yo, you just tanked your fucking buddy's life.
Yeah, sobriety.
Maybe. Or is it, he was sober for a year at least. Like, that's very hard for those,
100%. Yeah, I'm not trying to underplay sobriety.
I was just like, God damn, dude, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens to him. Like, how does his story end? Rick.
Rick? Well, yeah. I don't know. It's so weird. Like, you read the threads and all that, and people are like, oh, like, look at him. Yeah, Rick's story is, come to a close. Da-da-da-da. And it's like, he just, like, whether that's his dad or not, he just flipped a mob boss's, like, chair over. Like, an elderly man. And, like, I think she's probably more...
With armed security.
And I think she has more hands on the wheel in that operation that, like, I think all the characters know about.
Yeah, and
so
what's he going to do? Go back to his hotel that's run by the woman whose house you just... What are you thinking?
That's like, a 30-second phone call.
Yeah, like, that's not over.
No.
Okay, we agree.
But that is a good spurring point and a good teaser for the gun conflict to come,
Yeah.
So. But
the girl trio had a great
anxiety-inducing, man. Like
it was good because it felt so real.
It felt so, yeah. Like I've said this every week we talk about it. Like they come on screen, my chest tightens up. I was like, oh, like this is like that level of cattiness is supremely uncomfortable. But
I think it's we're talking about Severance and how like things feel grounded, but like this feels like I've sat at that table and watched that happen before. Like I don't know, you got to give it up for the chemistry in those scenes. Like that's pretty unreal. It's just weird that I care at all about their bullshit petty arguments, but you do care, and that's like that's like the whole point. Carrie Coon's character there was making me nervous. Just I understand why she made the choice she made to leave. I was like, all right, but now you're just gonna be in Bangkok or somewhere in Thailand, just fucking.
Also,
around.
I would have been out that window like way faster if like that exact situation she was under, banging on the door, like clearly like the mobbed up Russian girlfriend there, like yeah. But the jewelry we now know. They stole it.
And Guy Talk's putting the pieces together at the fights. He saw the guys and was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, Guy Talk is pooched. I'm just saying. Also, like, the date with Mook was very telling.
That bummed me out for him.
Well, for him, but, like, he might be a sad puppy about it for, like, 5 years or whatever. But, like, I think seeing into Mook's personality a little more was very eye-opening. Of, like, I'm trying to find the right way to describe it, but, like, she's like kind of grilling him about his aspirations and like, I thought you would want more. And it's like, you want to be, I'm like, you're just like an attendant as well. Like it was weird to see her kind of shutting him down in his, complacency in whatever, like faith and all this other stuff. It was like a lot of like you, and then not contributing. Not to say that's like her whole character and she's selfish or whatever, but it's just, and then again, there's like also that weird level of like their childhood friends and like family friends and all that too. So that, him chasing after or following puppy love after her, and I don't know, just the dynamics in this season are really good. Like so much more different than the previous seasons, which I like similar beats, but the type of interpersonal relationships and romances, it's very, very different.
Hard to keep that formula fresh, and they have definitely succeeded in doing that so far. And yeah, for what it's worth, like I do agree. It was like Mook has so far just been the prize. Guy Talk is after.
Yeah, dangled in front of him. Yeah,
and it was nice to be like, okay, so to be clear, like, what are you after? What's her point of view? And also, like, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of what you want may not be compatible with our boy here, and like he might be coming to that realization, and he may also need to come to the realization, and I think this is his finale, and it may have implications on the story, is like what do you want though? Not like what do you want to do because you think the girl will like it. Like what do you specifically want to do, and are you emotionally intelligent enough to have that conversation with yourself? Or are you going to see those guys and try to confront them to impress the girl and get yourself into way more trouble than you can handle, which is how I fear it will go.
I thought it was so interesting because, like this type of, not storyline, but like when he kind of like expresses I don't want to have violence. Like I don't want, it was just like a very honest, like a heart on your sleeve moment. And like for her, like completely reject it. I was like, oh dude, like, you got to find the person who fits your mold, right? Like, you got to find your person. I don't think Mook's it. But,
No, it's
you know,
funny.
and vice versa. Like I don't think you're it for her and her for you. Like it's.
You're right. It's one of the things I end up yelling at the TV. I'm like, you know what, man? Maybe she's just not the girl for you. All right, dude. What? Yeah, you can improve, but goddamn, maybe it's just not.
You're
match.
a good-looking sad puppy dog, dude. Like there's plenty of people out there for you, man. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know. But and then all the stuff with like.
We're leaving out what
the rat lifts. Holy cow, dude! What a. So funny, we're joking in the group chat. I was like, they keep coming at different angles. They keep showing it.
They're fucking with us, dude. I don't really know what to expect. I think a theory I've seen other people talk about, and one that makes sense, it is like, I think the father has neglected his responsibilities long enough. Like, I think... one of the seeds they may have planted very early in the season is, I always forget her name, the girl with the bob in the trio, Sam Rockwell's wife in real life.
Oh, Leslie Bibb.
Leslie Bibb's character.
Kate. Is it Kate?
Yeah, she approaches Parker Posey's character early, remember, and says, hey, we know each other, and it's very weird. But, what if she's talking to somebody back home, or her husband, and she said, the Radcliffe, they're here. Yeah. Radliffs, or whatever it is. They're here. They're chilling. And, wait, what's this news from back home? He's wanted federally? Well, he's here. And then, and then maybe the FBI, I don't know, maybe it's law enforcement coming in, and then shit pops off with the...
and they see Greg nearby. Or Gary, whatever.
And then Gary's doing his own thing, and then also the guys who robbed the place are armed. Maybe a power struggle ensues.
Spooked out, yeah.
Easy to see.
The FBI comes whipping in.
Yeah.
Or whomever. Who would go claim him?
Yeah. So we've got a few ingredients here.
I'm really excited. Like... For like I don't know, like I feel like this might be the most explosive kind of scenario, like like in season 2, like it was all kind of like private and out of the way, the stuff on the boat, and like it's violence in its own way and whatnot, and then season 1 was kind of like a delve into madness and kind of how that played out. But I don't know, I think this is going to be big, action packed. It'd be funny if it's not, if it's just like almost like weird happenstance, it's just like over in a moment.
Yeah, I'm curious. I want more. I want a little bit of clarification on the incest stuff. I want a conversation to occur.
And then like the weird vibes of Lachlan and
what is going on?
Piper. Like I don't know who the weird one is anymore. They're all pretty weird.
What's going on? I need is one of you adopted? Is one of you abused? What is going on? I understand it may not be the show to spell it out, but I need more than you've given me. Yeah. I need something. Something.
I need like oh shit, like he's pouring his heart out.
Yeah,
but it's crazy how much this episode, Saxon or Patrick Schwarzenegger looks like his dad. Yeah. The most this episode. I don't know what it was. Like just like there was like one lean-in shot, and even Leanna was like, "Oh, look at Arnold here," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's crazy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see
that. Good season.
Okay, I've got one more thing.
What do you got?
The Studio on Apple TV. Have you seen any of this?
I tried.
It's all right.
My damnedest last night. I got through 23 minutes before I passed out.
Of episode 1.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. There's 2
last thing I saw was David Krumholtz. Just like it was just like kind of like blasting him about Nick Stoller, talking about the director. That's fine. No, you don't want it. That was such a good scene. Yeah. I am in. And for the record, I will be watching this. It was really, really good.
Yeah, so it's early. I don't know how many episodes there are, but
I think there's 3 out.
I think 3 comes out tomorrow. So by the time this airs, there'll be 3 out. I've seen 2. But I think the pitch is very simple. I think Apple... This reminds me, this dovetail from Severance into the Studio reminds me of Game of Thrones into Chernobyl. Do you remember how they...
Oh, wow.
Game of Thrones ended, and they were like, hey, you looking for something else on Sundays? Here's Chernobyl. There you go. Yeah. This is such a strong show. Created Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, his partner, but they direct it too, and I don't know if they've directed a ton between the two of them before.
Well, Evan Goldberg has always been the director for a lot of stuff.
Oh, really?
Has he not?
I mean, I know they're writing partners, but like they wrote a lot of like Apatow stuff and whatnot. I think.
I thought anyway.
But maybe I'm wrong. But the point is so far they've directed. They created the show. They've directed both episodes, and it is very clearly it is very clearly kind of like their lived experience that is probably a little bit heightened, but also a lot of it just makes a lot of sense. It, like Severance, it must be so expensive. It, like, dude, it's like episode 2 is just wild. Like, you know, people talk about like, oh, it's a love letter to Hollywood or whatever. Like, but honestly, it's like a love letter. It's unbelievable. Like, I don't want to overhype, but it's so, what they do is so unbelievably specific. And I just haven't seen that kind of thing before. And it's so Seth Rogen, and so Hollywood. It's just like, I don't know. Apple's doing this thing right now with Severance and this, where it's like they're starting to be like an Apple look, where it's like, this just looks so expensive to make. The shit they're doing is so weirdly fancy from a filmmaking and like camera move perspective. Like, even in episode 1, which you saw, I won't spoil anything, but like just think about like the camera shit they're doing. Like, you know how they have the camera here and they go from speaker to speaker to speaker to, like, they're just doing such fancy filmmaking shit that it's like, there's you like, out of like, if there's 10 ways to choose a scene, like, you're doing it the hardest possible way. Like, I don't know. I fucking love this show.
Wow, 2 episodes. You're that in.
Yeah, I mean, they take an unbelievable swing in episode 2, so maybe that's part of it. And
I'm gonna watch that tonight.
And I'm going in with the assumption that, like, okay, they're not gonna do this every single time, but like they
did an episode 2. It's safe to say they'll do it again. Yeah,
I'm really, really curious to see how it goes. But I'm and it's funny because, you know, we were talking about Emmys and stuff, and it's like, oh, White Lotus is, you know, I was like, how do you not give every award to Severance? And it's like, well, White Lotus is looking pretty fucking good. And then it's also going to compete against this for sure. Unless they try. No, they might. If The Bear could be a comedy, this could be a comedy.
It's got like Barinholtz and Seth Rogen. Like,
it's comedy. Like Barinholtz.
It's comedy. Did you end up checking out Adolescence?
No, I gave it the old pitch. No, but depressing, you know, I got a couple of 14-hour flights ahead of me. So,
dude, well, maybe. So, I didn't realize it was a miniseries.
Yeah, there's only 4 episodes, right?
Yeah, so I stayed up late one night, then I went to bed, and I had immense, like, couples guilt at, like, the end of episode 3. I was like, I should probably stop. This is very much like a me and Leanna show. Like, this is British crime, cop drama, core.
Right, okay.
You know, I was like,
this
British?
is...
Yeah.
No way!
Yeah, it's like Stephen Graham and...
Dude, maybe I should pitch that. Maybe that'll help my odds.
The guy, one of the main guys from Top Boy, which was a show I really, really liked.
Yeah.
Duchesne from Top Boy. But anyways, I had all this guilt. I was like, oh my god, I'm just like, I'll refresh it. I'll pitch it to Leanna. We'll watch it. And, you know, we'll be none the wiser.
Yeah.
And then I realized it's only 4 episodes. I'm like, fuck, I'm almost done. I was like, you know, I would be able to like see like 6 more episodes new with her and like that. So I still got to pitch it to her, but incredibly, you know, like when I was talking to you about it, it's one of the closest things I had said to you. It's one of the closest things to The Wire I've seen in a long time.
Right.
In the realism, like it feels like, you know, even like some of the cop stuff we watch, like the British stuff, like there's like a layer of like, you know, like let's hit the archetype statements and this and that. Like this all felt very like cops doing cop stuff. Like, you know, we need to build a case. Like it's hard to describe. Like it felt like The Wire. Like I can't put like a thing on it. It's, you know, the verbiage is different and the time frame is different. Like there's all this emphasis on online and social media and cell phones and how children like can talk or kids talk in code online. Like very eye-opening stuff. Like as a parent of like a preteen and like, you know, all this, it was just kind of like, whoa, like how the world is kind of working right now. Very dark, very real. Like I said, like it's hard to like without spoiling it, but it's
topical.
Well, it's, you know, like the whole theme is like toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Like
and how it's super targeted and like how children, young men get caught into it. And, you know, like I don't really know how, because I still have one more episode. Because I would like Leanna to watch it. I think she'd love it. Like I said, it's very much like a show that we like.
Sure.
But just kind of even where I left off, like just such a healthy approach to like psychiatry and and psychiatrists and how like they do their work and how like there's so much stuff that can impede like an effective conversation with a child, and it's so well made. Stephen Graham, he's like one of my guys. He's like, people always say like John Bernthal. People get excited when he shows up in something.
Right.
When I see Stephen Graham, I'm like,
you're pumped.
This is like quality of some sort. Like he doesn't just do junk stuff. Like he's always in and he is. I don't know if like this is like a story, like it's based on something that happened in his life, of someone like close to his family or whatnot. But it kind of sounds like it's based on true events, and he like kind of helped develop and write this for like for today's day and age kind of thing. Like it was something that happened in the past and whatnot, but he's so good. Like just like a father going through it and having to watch his young child. Like dude, it's kind of jarring.
Heavy,
to see.
huh?
Yeah, it's heavy, but it's good. It's very well acted. Like no frills. It's all wonders.
This is the thing that attracted me in the first place. Like, it's unfortunate.
That's how you put me on it. Was like, dude, it's a wonder show.
Which, it's interesting to hear like how our tastes are evolving as we do the pod and watch more and more stuff. Like, that was the number one attraction, and I didn't know it was so dark. Yeah. I just heard, hey, it's a number one show on Netflix. It's a mini series, and it's all wonders. I was like, I love all these things, and I didn't know that the subject matter. I learned later that it was remarkably dark. Dark. But yeah,
very good. I recommend to anybody. Like,
well, we're gonna have some downtime on the Shikansen in between all these damn cities we're gonna be in. Maybe a good time to mention. We're gonna be off, or at least I'll be gone for 3 or 4 weeks. Grant may or may not do a solo episode. Jeez.
The plan is I'll do some solo leveling if the system wants to reach out. By all means. No, I think the goal for next week or in 2 weeks' time, I'm trying to figure out how like the mechanics of Twitch works. So I've been doing a lot of research, but I would like to do a stream of like just going over like the seasonal shows and like watching some trailers, just to maybe there's some stuff that just based off like a still image I never would have thought to jump down. And then the week after that, I'm trying to coax a couple people. I'd like to do kind of like a year in review so far, just a couple different things, a couple of the people. And so like I said, I have some pet projects. I don't just want the pod to sit for a month while you're gone. I'd like to do some stuff, so please check back in on the normal schedule.
So to that end, like, please follow us on Instagram and on TikTok at Part-Time Otaku Podcast. I imagine the stuff Grant's doing probably on Instagram, post stories. So just like follow us there, much appreciated. And if he ends up setting us up on Twitch, links will be there and in the bio on Instagram and all that stuff, or in stories or whatever. Be on the social media and just stay tuned, as they say. Otherwise, thank you for listening. I will see you guys when I get back. I'll have all kinds of Japan stories and memorabilia.
So excited for it.
Yeah, it should be fun, man. And maybe we do a Japan review. I just let everybody know.
Yeah, dude, Japan it's review. Gonna happen. Whether group chat, phone call, and the pod door.
Yeah, get it all. But it should be really fun, and we're very excited. And thanks to everybody for listening, and stay tuned for more. I think that's it, right, Grant?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may go ahead. Say it.
Bye, guys.